Hello? Is this thing on? Hi. Hey. Hi. Hi, how are you? Okay. Hello everybody, I'm Cowboy Culturism, and today we're going to be talking about the PSA AK-103 Premium. That's the rifle with the FN Cold Hammer Forged Chrome Line barrel. This is an out-of-the-box impressions video, not a review. So I fired 0 rounds to this rifle. I'm going to be talking about it because there's a few things that I want you to know how I received this rifle out of the box. There's some good impressions, there's some bad impressions, and I want to talk about both of those. So my relationship with PSA, they did not send me this rifle. I bought it with my own money. So you're getting it as unbiased as that can possibly be. If you don't want to watch this video, here's the TLDR. TLDR, the stock is loose, and the rifle came with a bunch of scratches. Just so everybody knows, the rifle is clear. I want to do a little bit of an introduction to myself. So if you don't want to watch this introduction portion of the video about myself, go ahead and go to this timestamp in the video. Okay, so first and foremost, I am new to YouTube. I've got my camera on a tripod and I don't have a mic. I don't have anything else. This is the first video I'm putting out, so please be patient with me because I have 0 experience doing this and I don't have that much equipment. Secondly, why the mask? All the cool YouTubers are doing it. I'm thinking of people like Print, Shoot, Repeat, Dream, Minecraft Extraordinaire, and Administrative Results. Who wouldn't want to be like their heroes? So we're rocking the mask. So what could you expect from me in terms of future YouTube videos? I plan to take firearms like this one, and I plan to upgrade them and take you guys through the journey. Any malfunctions, any problems with the gun as I'm shooting it, I intend to report to you guys. So if you're interested in that type of content, go ahead and leave a subscribe. I also 3D print firearms, and I just bought a motorcycle. Well, I traded it for a shotgun, actually, kind of funny. I traded that for a motorcycle, and I have no idea what I'm doing there, so maybe I'll start a series on that too. If you're interested in watching these types of videos or that type of content, go ahead and leave a subscribe, and I'll keep you posted as to things that we do with these, things that we do in 3D printing realm, and things I'll do with my motorcycle. So why an out-of-the-box review? Well, again, this is not a review. I fired 0 rounds to this rifle. I just pulled it out of the box, and instead of it being in what you would consider optimal, pristine, perfect condition for a brand new firearm, I noticed a few things and I want to bring it to your attention. But again, not a review, just an impressions video. But before we talk about any of this, we need to talk about the trip that this firearm went on in terms of it being shipped to my FFL and being sent to me and all this type of stuff, because it's had a little bit of a background in that sense. So is it the source of the problems? Probably not, but potentially. So I do have to make reference to this. Basically, I got a sweet deal from Palmetto State Armory, I think. In the daily emails, it had talked about how I could get this rifle, one of their premium FN Cold Hammer Forged Chrome Line barreled AKs with a PSA dagger. That's this firearm right here, this Gen 3 Glock 19 clone. A lot of interchangeable parts. I think it's a sweet deal. The same exact price, $1,100, as you would normally buy this gun for. So I pounced on that. The night prior, I had actually had the builder's kit for the AK-103 in there, and the furniture kit with the ALG trigger as well. So I just fell asleep on my couch by accident, and I woke up, got an email, pounced on this deal. This is the same price as I was going to spend the night prior, and boom, now I've got it. The issue though was in the shipping. Basically what I had done is I had shipped it to a local hardware store, but I called up the hardware store and they tell me that they're actually under new management, so they're not going to be an FFL anymore, essentially. So I'm shipping it to a place which doesn't have an FFL. So I had to call PSA, have a return to sender sent out, and they shipped the firearm back via UPS to their facility, and then they shipped it out about a week later after the whole debacle. And then it came to my FFL. It was fine. There was no problems, but this is where I start to wonder if some of the shipping process potentially could have caused some of the issues that I'm going to talk about today. With that story out of the way, for the record, the PSA AK-103 does not come with a Bakelite magazine, and it does not come with a Coyote Tan VTAC Vickers sling. with the padding. It does not do that. I added these two things. But other than that, this rifle is stock. Let's talk about first impressions, and we'll start off with the bad impressions. So right out of the box, the stock has a bit of wobble. I don't know if I can illustrate it here on the table because the table's kind of wobbly, but there's about 1 millimeter of play up and down, and then left and right there's about 1 millimeter to 2 millimeters play. Not really that impressed with that, to be honest, because the AK-103 from Palmetto State Armory is supposed to be one of their more premium offerings. Will this affect the firearm going down the road? I don't know, but I intend to keep you up to date as to whether or not it does. This, I don't think, is really something that I should be having to worry about with a premium tier of firearm from Palmetto State Armory. So can this be rectified via the PSA? I think so. If it gets worse, I definitely will pursue that. Thankfully, Palmetto State Armory does have a lifetime warranty, and I can always cash that in for maybe a new stock or a new rear tang. So that, isn't the tang? Maybe a new rear tang or something, so that I can get a stock that isn't as wobbly. But that was one of the first things I've noticed. It doesn't inspire confidence, but is it a deal breaker yet? No. We don't know exactly how this is going to affect the firearm, but I will say not confidence inspiring. I do know particularly that Henry from 9-Hole Reviews, when he was doing an AK-103 video, I can't remember if it was the video where he takes it out to like 600, 500 yards, or if it was the video where he is talking about the history of the firearm. He does tell that this rifle, it's got a really firm lockup in the folding mechanism, and he was happy with that.
The stock locks open solidly and is tight when folded shut.
And I was expecting that out of this firearm right out of the box. Maybe this is what he meant, but it's not confidence inspiring. But I might even pursue maybe trying to shim something down in the hinge mechanism portion or the pin mechanism in order to make sure that this is not as wobbly as it is. It's not really terrible, but it does, I do feel it a little bit, and it's kind of a disappointment right out of the box. It's supposed to be their premium tier of rifle. So this is particularly annoying because not on this rifle here, but on my Palmetto State Armory GF3, which I had gotten in, I think it was, I believe it was 2021. I had a similar issue. So I got this in the winter of 2021, and one of the first issues that I had with it in the first 50 rounds was I'm firing, and basically this screw in the top of the rear tang locks itself out. So if this is as I think it is, that would be 2 rifles now that I've gotten from Palmetto State Armory, which have problems with their rear stock, and it's just not really tight. It's not really the way it should be. You should be able to depend on a stock at least. It's not even like the function of the firearm. It's a pin being out of spec or the hinge being out of spec in this firearm's case. But in this one's, it was just like not Loctited at all. Not really fantastic either. Was not happy with the fact that that happened, but over about 500 rounds, it did continue to walk itself out even with Loctite. Not that this is a review of the GF3 or anything like that, but that was an issue I encountered on a previous Palmetto State Armory AK, and I don't like that the trend has continued with this rifle, which is supposed to be their more premium offering. Second off, and you might jump down my throat for saying this, but I think it should be mentioned as this is the impression that I had out of the box. I want to talk about the condition in which the firearm came. So if you allow me just a second, I'm going to grab the box for this rifle. So this is the box for the rifle. In some of the weird transportation that I think this rifle went through, it has been damaged, and it has had a lot of different creases and whatever on the rest of the box. I thought this would be fine because most of the boxes have this pretty elite packaging, elite padding and foaming on the inside right here. But what ended up happening, I saw the box's hole. I didn't think it was a big deal. But once I picked up the AK-103, what ended up happening was, particularly right here on the dust cover, there's a lot of scratches. So here are the kind of deep scratches right here on the side of the dust cover. Like, they're not They're not going to impede function, obviously, but you can definitely see they're there. There's some right here. It kind of traces down this side, this way. Then there's some really deep ones right here along this edge. And there's some more right on this edge right here. I don't know if you can see that at all. But, yeah. So why do I think there were scratches on the dust cover and the stock of the firearm? I would be willing to bet that most of it came from something like this that came with the gun. There's a little lock in here for safety that they send with all their firearms. And that and the PMAG were just kind of riding around inside of this box. And I can imagine that being underneath a bunch of other shipping packages and having jostled around all over North America would end up putting scratches on this firearm's stock and dust cover. But you might want to know that in terms of getting orders from Palmetto State Armory and having them shipped by UPS, because you could end up with scratches on your firearm because of the included accessories that come with the gun. It also seemed apparent that the scratches were also on the stock. Again, not really confidence inspiring given the fact that I had just pulled out this rifle from the box, and there's scratches, pretty deep scratches I would consider, right here on the dust cover. Now, is that going to impede function of this firearm? No, definitely not, obviously not. However, the type of people who buy guns and want them in perfect and pristine condition out of the box exists. And I'm not necessarily one of those people, but I think most people would see these scratches and be like, WTF.
It's me.
But I think that the scratches were deep enough on this that it would actually fall into their blemish category in terms of the condition of the rifle. Let me be more particular about how I'm saying this. I wrote it out here for you. Personally, I don't care. I'm going to scratch it because I'm going to shoot this rifle. However, I did not order a blemished version of this firearm. This is what I received, and additionally, this is supposed to be the premium version of the Palmetto State Armory AK-103. Now, whether or not they sent it scratched, or maybe it was scratched or damaged in the shipping process, that's kind of up for debate. And that's kind of my fault, by the way, if I had maybe shipped it to a different FFL. But still, it shouldn't come this way. I would think that would either be a little bit of an eyebrow raise from the consumer's perspective in terms of how it was shipped, or the company that it was shipped from. I'm reporting to you the first impressions of this rifle, and this was something I noticed right away. Right on the dust cover, there are very deep, very prevalent scratches, and I'm reporting this to you. I think most people too would not be happy if they had received the gun like this. If you guys want to talk about it in the comments, go ahead, feel free, leave a comment about it, but I'm going to be taking TWS dogleg and replacing the dust cover. Again, I don't really care. I'm going to shoot this gun. I'm going to put scratches on it. It's just going to happen, but for people that want to be aware that your firearm could come in this condition, I am letting you know. I'm not pinning direct blame on PSA or the shipping company. Something along the way went wrong, however, so that's what I'm reporting to you, the first impressions of this rifle. There's another little weird thing that I saw underneath reviews of this rifle from Palmetto State Armory. Palmetto State Armory has a little comment section, and one of those comments talks about the finish of the rifle. They said that, what did they finish this with, spray paint, I think? I'll link, I'll put a picture of the comment up here. I think it was from Nick, or something, I forget. But basically he's taken his thumb and he had rubbed it along the dust cover. Well, my dust cover is already damaged, so I don't really care what happens to it. So I want to test his, the finish, his poor conclusion right now in front of you guys. Well, I didn't get as much stuff on my finger as he did. Got a little bit. Got a little bit just running my thumb up there, but not very much. But he had said that he had ran his nail across it, so maybe I'll try that now. I didn't really get as much as the guy in the comment said, so try again. It's a weird comment. I'd never seen that criticism before from Palmetto State Armory. But kind of a odd criticism, but I didn't end up getting anything there. So yeah, kind of odd. So let's talk about good impressions of the AK-103, because I don't want it all to seem bad. It's not. It's just a couple eyebrow raises in terms of the shipping and in terms of the stock wobble. But let's move on to good impressions of this rifle. PSA has actually figured out the accidental last round bolt hold open problem that most AKs have, I think. And that is evidenced by the fact that I cannot do the little hanging up on the hammer face thing. It just doesn't want to do that. And that is juxtaposed to my 2021 GF3, which still has that problem, and it does that. Now, some people might say, that's a feature, not a bug. Trust me, it's a bug, not a feature. So that's a little bit of a annoyance that I had on my GF3. It's not a huge deal, obviously, but it is something that they seem to have rectified on my on the PSA AK-103. Again, I can't get it to do that. Overall, the bolt feels a lot smoother than this, and I haven't oiled this or done any like firing with it really. It feels smoother right out of the box. I have oiled and I have fired this one, and it feels rougher, so the action feels a lot smoother than a 2021 GF3. Next, the firearm really does feel like light and wieldy. On this gun, I did put a little bit of extra furniture on it before I reverted it back to its original Magpul MOE handguard and Zukov stock. But this rifle feels very light and wieldy. I feel like I can maneuver with it very well. And even with a loaded magazine, it really doesn't change how it feels at all. So, yeah, no, I really like that about this rifle. I've grown to really like that it's light. I'm probably going to change that. But I do like that it is very light and wieldy. The muzzle device on this firearm feels very firm. I haven't put any rounds through it, of course, as I've mentioned, but it is not rotating, unlike the AK-103 muzzle brake I put on that firearm. It had a little bit of a wiggle left and right, but this one I can't get it to do that. It might change as I fire it, obviously, but as of now, right out of the box, impressions-wise, it's very firm, it's not moving, it's not going anywhere, and I like that. Another thing, the AK-103's folding mechanism is not wrong. I don't really have a particular preference for it to be a 100% clone correct firearm. However, the folding mechanism on some of the reviews that you'll see under PSA's website, there's a little bit of a difference right here in this folding mechanism. I don't even know what you call that. The little thing that comes out like that. What would you call that? Anyway, this part doesn't have that machined hole in there in some of the reviews that you see under PSA's website, but it does here. And they also changed this on the other side to have that actual little hole. I think it looks more aesthetically pleasing. It's also silver as opposed to black, as you'd see in some of the other copies, and I think that looks really good. I think I really like that that is included now, as opposed to the just the regular not machined hole button. Yeah. Speaking of this button, the stock folds up really firm. It's not going anywhere. I like that a lot. To pull the stock back out, you just press this little button, fling it open, but then you still run into the issue. Another really good impression, this bolt right here is actually now, I don't want to say Cerakoted because I don't think that's correct, but it's got some type of black anodization on the bolt. I think that's the right way to phrase that. That actually is confidence inspiring, because on this one, on this rifle, they did not really have that. I actually did have to fight with bolt rust a few times, and I didn't really like that. It's really just because this feels like raw metal, you know, like raw machining. It could have just been because of the demand in 2021 that they had to skip a few steps, or they hadn't developed this yet, or incorporated it in mass. But I really do like that this rifle has this. It makes me feel like I'm not going to get random spots of bolt rust that I have to Brillo pad off of it and then re-oil all the time. If you're asking where that came from, this rifle was sitting in my truck a lot through a lot of the time that it was in my vehicle. This rifle did have a little bit more exposure to, you know, kind of like the weather getting cold or water or whatever in the trunk. This rifle couldn't handle it, whereas I feel like this one will actually be able to. If that's true, I don't know, but I'll keep you updated if there is any problem in that sense. So right off the bat, a PMag actually did fight with me in terms of insertion. This is the PMag that came with the gun. Not a big deal, obviously. This has got plastic polymer tabs which will adjust itself as you're inserting it over and over. And now it is quite fine in terms of insertion. There's no problems in that sense. So yeah, it's not a big deal, but that is something that out of the box impression wise, I did notice. So in conclusion of the initial first impressions, I think this gun will be fine. I think it will shoot fine. I expect it to be a really solid working firearm, given the fact it's from PSA's premium line. There's just a few things out of the box that I wanted to report to everybody, because I want to take you on the entire journey of this rifle, and it arriving here in the condition that it did is something that I wanted to keep people aware of, because your rifle could come this way. It's not going to, you know, make it so that this gun doesn't function, I hope. Once I shoot it, you'll know for sure, but if the stock does impede function or accuracy or anything like that, I intend to have it shipped back. Yeah, so basically in terms of upgrades, what am I going to upgrade? Like everything. So muzzle device, charging handle, grip, port handguard. I might put a recoil pad on this, depending on how much that new muzzle device I intend to put on there really does affect it. I might put a KNS piston in there and say, screw the recoil pad, you know. I like the idea of having it a little bit less wobbly up there. It's a little bit of a glossy butt end, but you know, we'll see as we shoot the gun. But I think this should be necessary in terms of switching things out. But my overall goal, of course, being that I want this to be an effective fighting rifle. I want this to be easier to manipulate. I want this to have the same capability that it had right out of the box in terms of the option to fold this and still use the safety and still charge the gun. I like that idea, but I'll keep you all updated in terms of all that. But overall, I just want more capability without sacrificing the wieldiness of this rifle as is. So, you know, I think I can do that. I think that's totally achievable, and we'll see what we can do. Okay, so thank you guys for watching my initial out-of-the-box impressions video of the Palmetto State Armory AK-103 Premium with the Cold Hammer Forged chrome lined barrel. I hope that this has been informative. I hope this has been interesting to watch. This is my very first YouTube video, so if you like what you saw here, please go ahead and leave a like and a subscribe and comment stuff you want to see me do with this rifle. I intend to really push it to its paces, even though there's a few things out of the box that I have a little bit of a grievance with, obviously, but I want to be able to push this rifle and see what it's capable of. This is a premium rifle from an American-made company, and I think that as long as no problems arise with the things that I talked about, I think it'll still be able to be a really effective rifle for almost anything that I throw at it. So if you guys like this video, please leave a like, please subscribe, comment down below some other questions that you have, and I hope I'll be able to answer them. And if this has been informative, take that information with you, and I hope you make really informed purchases in the future with the stuff that you saw in this video. This has been Cowboy Culturism. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you down the road.